Hello and welcome back to the UCLA Bruins Insider Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Ferguson, writer for UCLA on SI. Today we're going to be taking a look at UCLA's loss to Minnesota. Obviously not the game you would expect from UCLA this late into the season, but we're going to break it down and discuss what went wrong for the Bruins and kind of what went right, as well as kind of break down each starter's performance. Maybe we'll kind of dip into the bench too if there's any notable things there. But overall, bad game for UCLA. But before we get started, I want to thank everyone right now who's watching Apple Music, Spotify, or even YouTube. It all means a lot to me. But without further ado, let's get right into it. So again, 78-73, poor performance from UCLA. They never were able to get any traction in this game throughout the first half. The Bruins were in the lead for a little bit, but then, shortly after Minnesota would catch up and even extend the lead out. Just like things like that cannot happen for UCLA. Obviously, they've kind of struggled to remain consistent half to half this season. We saw it in the Illinois game and even the USC game where they had a terrible first half, but then the second half told a much different story. The same can kind of be said for this one. UCLA had the lead in the first half, 41-40, and then in the second half, they scored 32 points to Minnesota's 38, and that is exactly where Minnesota won the game. Obviously, a 6-point deficit in the second half is not going to do you any favors, obviously. And then in the first half, I don't think UCLA got out to a lead that they really needed to. I think if they were up by, at least, 10, 7 points, I think this game could have looked a lot differently. I'm not just saying that because, I'm just putting in points where it would make sense. But if UCLA cannot get good traction, in the first half, the second half looks terrible. I know a lot of teams have been doing good at, kind of adjusting to what UCLA puts out there. Think back to Michigan, right? I'm pretty sure the first half score of that one was 40, Michigan 38, UCLA. And then the Bruins went on to score 18 points in the second half. I think this was kind of a case of that happening, right? When you kind of look at everything that happened. Minnesota has made probably some of the best adjustments we've seen, from a team of their caliber this season in the second half. Obviously, Minnesota is not the best team in the world, but still, they have a lot of firepower. Bobby Durkin, he scored 23 points. He went 7 from 11 from the 3-point line. Langston Reynolds, 21 points, went 8 for 14. Then Cade Tyson, 8 for 12, 21 points. So again, if you have 3 starters going, over 20 plus points, you're doing something good. And I thought Minnesota did that. And just overall, when you kind of look at everything from top to bottom, you really don't know why UCLA lost this game. But I think if one thing is for certain, I think it has to be kind of the starters' performances. When you look at it, Sky Clark, 17 points, Tyler Bilodeau, 32, Eric Daly Jr., 18, Donovan Dent, 3, and then Trent Perry, 0 points on 26 minutes. So again, not the best game for UCLA starters. If there's anywhere to kind of point where it went wrong, it definitely be, their performances. The bench wasn't much better either. Xavier Booker, 0 points. Jamar Brown, 3 points. Eric Freni, I think he was in there for a play. He only had 0. He had 0 points, didn't do anything else. But again, when you look at what UCLA put out there, it's not, the product that we're used to. But I did think the thing that I thought UCLA did well in this one was I thought, for one, they shot the ball decently. Obviously, it wasn't enough to get the win, but they shot over 50%. They shot 51% to be exact, which allowed them to be, competitive in this game. I think if they were shooting closer to 40, I think Minnesota would have blown them out by, 10, 15 points easily. And then kind of when you look down, obviously, UCLA had 6 turnovers, a little bit more than they're used to, especially in the last 2 games. But what really shocked me from all these kind of stats has got to be the rebounds. UCLA had 30 rebounds to Minnesota's 20. When you look at that, you question why UCLA lost this game. They did better than the other team at something that they are supposed to be bad at. You know what I mean? So this was something that went in UCLA's favor, and they should have been able to capitalize on it just a little bit more. But again, when you kind of entering this matchup, the Bruins only had a 1.5 favorite, entering this matchup. And when you kind of look at that figure, there's something wrong for UCLA. there's matchups, right? And we saw that with how well Minnesota starters played. Again, I think an underrated factor in this one has got to be location. The Bruins struggled to play on the road. I think that goes without being said. I think when you're looking at UCLA's next matchup against, I think it's number 12 Nebraska. I know it's Nebraska. I'm not sure on the rank. You kind of wonder, like, what kind of game is that going to look like? I think UCLA wins that game, actually, only because they're playing at home and not at the road. If they were in Nebraska, I think UCLA loses by 20. But again, location matters for the Bruins, and that's kind of the point that I'm trying to make. Do I like that this is something that's wrong with UCLA? Absolutely not. I think if UCLA can't win on the road, they're going to be a first-round exit in the tournament if they make it. Again, this is not, confirmed, and this game kind of tells us that, right? You're looking at the rest of UCLA's schedule. They have 2 games left. Nebraska, USC. If they lose to Nebraska and beat USC, I think they're still a fringe team. They might have to play a play-in game to even enter the tournament. If they lose all 3, there's a good chance they miss it outright. Is that the reality you want to see? No. But again, entering this game, you thought UCLA would be able to win this one, make the Nebraska game competitive, and then beat USC. Now that is not for certain. UCLA could easily go 0 for 3 and completely miss the tournament because of this game. So again, not what you want to see if you are a Bruins fan. It's just a rough patch for UCLA, and there's not really enough time to turn things around. This is kind of what's in front of us right now, and what we saw now is likely to repeat itself in March if they do make the tournament, because again, location matters for the Bruins. They're not going to be playing all their tournament games in Pauley, so again, that is something to keep an eye on. And even for like the voters, Selection Sunday, stuff like that, that's obviously going to make an impact for the Bruins. If they can't win away, they're going to be weighed a lot less than they actually should be. And that is concerning if you were a UCLA fan. But now I'm going to kind of talk about each individual performance, what I saw, kind of going deep into those performances. Trent Perry, 0 points, 0 for 7, 1 rebound, 1 assist, 26 minutes. Terrible performance from Trent Perry. And I was really rooting for him to kind of find his footing. He's probably shown the most signs of progress of all of UCLA's players, besides maybe Donovan Dent, and even that is coming later than it should have. But still, I don't like this performance. I believe against USC, he went 6 of 9. He really shot well. And, it seems like, the time zone change, location, stuff like that definitely hurt him more than the other players in this one. Up next, Donovan Dent, 3 points. He went 1 of 6, 0 for 2 from the 3-point line. He had 5 rebounds and 15 assists. So again, his facilitating has been second to none. He's really doing well. I believe he's at 36 assists with 1 turnover because he had 1 in this game. But not the best Donovan Dent performance. We thought his scoring was going to be more of an impact. It clearly wasn't. 3 points. His 3-point shooting definitely wasn't there. Against USC, he was just letting it rip, really, shooting the ball at a high level. I think he was 5 for 6 or something like that in that game. Sorry for itching my nose. I don't know what's wrong with it. But anyways, Donovan Dent is a great player. I don't know. Something's wrong with his shooting right now. I thought it was fixed against USC and that we would see, a much better performance from Donovan Dent, but it was clear that was not the case. He also shot a 3-point late in the game that would have tied the game for the Bruins, and obviously he was short. He missed it. The conversation we're having right now would have been a lot different if he were to make it. I don't like that Donovan Dent shot that ball, especially with him only having 3 points to that point. Just an ugly game offensively for Donovan Dent. But still, if he could figure out his shooting and maintain his facilitating, I think UCLA will be able to run the table to end the season and make a deep run in March. But until I see that consistently, I'm a little worried about Donovan Dent's role right now. But again, facilitating was something to really, smile when you kind of look at what went right for the Bruins. So we got to see more. Eric Daly Jr., after playing terribly against USC, he was able to come back, 18 points, went 8 of 10 from the field, 6 rebounds, 2 assists. He had 3 personal fouls, but again, not too worrisome about Eric Daly. I think that USC game was kind of an outlier. He had 20 points against Illinois, and it seems like he has kind of returned to that form, and that's exactly what you want to see from one of your best players overall. But again, 6 rebounds. I think that is something that you look at and you are happy about. There's really no other way around that. Daly had a great game on the glass. I would like to see just a little bit more, but still, can't complain with the player who scored 18 points and went 8 from 10. Also made his only 3-point attempt. Great game by Eric Daly. I thought he did exactly what he needed to do. But sorry. But some of the other players did not, show up and, with him. And then Tyler Bilodeau, 32 points, went 13 of 21 from the field, 4 of 7 from the 3-point line, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 turnover. Not the best game from Tyler Bilodeau. Probably one of the better games that we've seen from Tyler Bilodeau. I liked everything I saw from Bilodeau. It was his game. Donovan had his time at USC. Bilodeau probably wanted to get more shots up, and he did. And he did it in a great way. 32 points, nothing to complain about. His 8 rebounds definitely stick out more than his points because, again, UCLA needs better rebounding from its team as a whole, especially to round out the season. But great. Overall, just great Tyler Bilodeau performance. I'd give him an A+. If I could enter grades in a grade book. I hope he can maintain this. Still, it's not going to mean much if the Bruins were unable to win this one. Sky Clark, 17 points, 6 of 9, 4 of 7 from the 3-point line, 3 rebounds, and 5 assists. Great Sky Clark game. This is exactly what he needed following his 4-point outing against USC. Great bounce back game from him. But again, wasn't enough to get the job done. But I think it's clear if there were going to be some changes moving forward, we might see Clark kind of, take over Trent Perry's role, and then we might see Xavier Booker move up. But I don't think Mick Cronin's looking to make any dramatic changes right now. But again, great Sky Clark performance. Not really much else to say about him. But yeah. So kind of looking at everything that the starters did, it's clear that it was pretty top heavy. Dent and Perry, 3 points combined, 1 of 13 from the field, 0 of 7 from the 3-point line. Not the best game from them. And they were the team that was the duo that was keeping UCLA afloat earlier this season when Clark was down. So to kind of see them kind of struggle right now is kind of heartbreaking when you kind of consider everything. But again, when you look at everything that happened, just not the best game for the Bruins. Jamar Brown, I should probably mention him. He played 24 minutes. He got 1 shot up, a 3-pointer. He had 3 points, had 1 rebound, and 2 assists and 2 fouls. He played a lot, but again, we're not seeing his impact be felt. It's a little disappointing that he only scored 3 points. I thought this was a great opportunity for him to really go out there and make an impact, but he just simply did not. With all that being said, to kind of close things out, UCLA's next game's against Nebraska. Knowing this team, I'm sure they'll probably have a great outing against the Cornhuskers with them playing in Poly. This team being inconsistent. I feel like they're going to be inconsistent in a good way and play very well against Nebraska. So if this game would have came earlier this season, it wouldn't have been that whatever. But again, it's happening now. That's where you can kind of get a little nervous. But that's all I have today, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. And as always, 4 is up and have a good day.